Good afternoon, everyone. I am here. I may look like a floating head, but I'm here behind what is the Craftalong. Oh my word, I'm so excited about this, and I'm really excited for you guys as well, because on what seems to be a wintry day with the rain outside, it's lovely to be sat inside with your friends, with us as your friends, with the lovely Lesley and David from Chocolate Baroque as well. Hello, lovely Lesley, lovely David.
Hi.
How are you both? How are you both?
Fine, thank you.
Yes, good, thank you.
Are you looking forward to this afternoon?
Absolutely.
I think so.
This is your first time on air, isn't it, David?
It is, yes.
So are you looking forward to it?
With a little bit of apprehension.
Well, you're both looking absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what happens over the next 2 hours, and I'm sure you guys are all ready for it as well. Now, if you're not au fait with the Craftalong, this is what we do. We have 2 hours now. I try to not get involved too much by interrupting. It is going to be the lovely Lesley and David with you for 2 hours. And anyone that's bought the kit already, you'll have it all set up at home, ready to go, with all of your extras as well. Now, if you're looking at the show thinking, oh, I wish I'd have got this, I wish I'd have known about it sooner, well, you can still buy it, and the show will be available on rewind, so you're more than welcome to stay with us for the 2 hours and then watch it again at your own convenience, and then of course Craftalong with the kit. So the details on the screen at the moment are for what you see in front of me. Let's run through what you get. So you've got 3 stamp sets, and you've got Sow the Seeds, you've got Mother Earth, and you've got Modern Textures. So with those, you could use them for a whole variety of different projects, far beyond the Craftalong that you're going to get involved with this kit. So those are your 3 stamp sets, lots of stamps on there for you to use. And then at the top, where we're going to next, there's so much to tell you about. We have got some a wooden plaque for you. Now, if I take that and just turn that around, you'll see that you'll be able to pop that onto the wall. Both ways actually, landscape or portrait. You've also got your photo box frame. If I just lift that forward as well, you'll see at the top, that's where you can pop a photo in. If you've not got a photo, then it could be a piece of artwork in there. And again, you'll be decorating that. Next along, you've got this beautiful plaque. Now let me just lift this up again and show you, because you can have this either way. I'm going to be very careful with this. There you go. So you can have that hanging a landscape or portrait, which is fantastic. You've also got your glue, so you've got your Pva glue there, which is perfect, because that's going to be the right glue for you for the project. Okay, then you've got your, which way we go, masking tissue. So you've got that included, and all of this will become clear when we head over to Lesley. Down here, I need some steps. This is brilliant. You've got your gloss varnish, and that's from Deco Art as well, so you know it's top quality. You've also got, along there, you've got your Walnut Crystals, fantastic. You've got your white embossing powder. You've got your mini Versamark ink pad. Then next, down here, yeah, let's have a look at these. We've got your book papers with your dictionary words on there. They're interesting to see what's there. Then you've got your MDF letters, which of course spell out love, L-O-V-E. You've got your gold and silver foils included. I know, there's more. There's more, everybody. Oh, my word. Right, I'm going to come over this side. You've got your MDF foam in there as well. Sorry, you got home, not foam. Not MDF. MDF home, then you've got your foam. It's going so well, Lesley. I'm just so glad I'm handing over to Lesley and David for 2 hours. Right. You've got your drawing cartridge sheets as well, and you've got your white card included, and then you've also got your cling as well. My word, there is so much for you, and then you've got your cling sheet there. If I just move that out of the way, you'll be able to see that, how large that is in A4. Wow, now there are extras that you would have be given a list to add to your Craftalong, so the extras to help you along. If you don't have the exact same items, I'm sure you can substitute, and Lesley will talk you through all of that. I've got some lovely samples at the side of me here of what you can create when you get your kit home. If you not already got it. And maybe beyond the Craftalong as well, you can create some beautiful cards with your stamps. Now, I do have in my hands, just here, if I hold that there, isn't that lovely? I mean, imagine that on your walls, absolutely stunning. And it's beautiful because using this with the stamps, you've got those lovely pods at the top, then you've got the lovely flower, and this could be any colour you like. Any colour you like, but you do have those stamps to use again and again and again. 490819 is your item number if you want to go for your Craftalong kit. You can pay it into instalments, so we'll get all of this sent out to you. £28.95 today. If you're a Freedom member, there's no P&P to pay, and then we'll take a payment in a month's time. So it's a great way to spread the cost, but my word, what a beautiful, fantastic 2 hours you are going to have. And remember, you can watch this show again on Rewind. Now, if you like what you see and you like the demonstrations and the projects, you can go and shop ahead on the website, and you can go and shop by brand with Chocolate Baroque. So it's a really nice way of just spending the 2 hours crafting along and having a peruse as well. Once you've got a taster, have a peruse on the website, and if you want to add any other items to your basket, if you're going for the Craftalong today, if you've not already got it, because this is available on a flexi-buy, 2 payments, anything else that you add to your basket then will also be available on 2 payments. It's good, isn't it? Right, so I hope you got a cup of tea. Maybe you've had some dinner. If not, have a bit of cake at the side. Are you ready to craft along for the next 2 hours? If you've got any questions, this is your show. Remember, guys, you're more than welcome to email in. It's studio@hochanda.com. So any questions, it doesn't matter what they are, please email in. We'll make sure Lesley gets your questions and she'll be able to answer them for you. So let's hand over to Lesley and David for your 2 hours of Craftalong.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our little craft room this afternoon. I hope you're all ready. I have seen some photographs of people already who have got some fantastic setups going, much neater than we have here, I'm afraid, but you know, whatever. If also, I need to ask my lovely producer this afternoon, who's Meg, and also we've got our director, Chris. Are we all right for people to email into the studio? So if you want to email in pictures in of what you're doing, even if you're just crafting along but not necessarily doing this, it'll be fantastic to see. Then that would be wonderful. I think a lot of you may know that this is my husband, David. This is the guy who makes the stamps that you beautifully buy from us. Thank you very much. And we've always done this Craftalong as a collective. So we've always had the presenter. So unfortunately, Janice can't join us, which is such a shame. And we've always had 2 or 3 crafters around. So we've always feel like we're in our own little craft room together. So the suggestion was that David and I, because we're obviously in our own bubble, could do it together. So welcome. Ask any questions you want and I will try and answer them.
Believe me, I will.
Right, so let's get going. You will have got in your kit a list of basics that you needed to have with you for today. And also you will have had a little what you needed to do with some of your items if you didn't want to go down a certain route. So I just want to quickly run through what we are going to be making today and then we'll get stuck in, if that's all right, okay? So you have a Bisque Plaque in your kit, which is plain, okay? Now this plaque here is, as I say, bisque. Be careful, it is breakable. It won't break under your heat gun, so don't worry about it. And on the back you have 2 hooks, so you can either hang it portrait, or you can hang it landscape. So it's entirely up to you, okay? This particular one, because of the way I have, with the stamps that I'm using, I think that this one works best as portrait, okay? So we'll be painting that very shortly. We're going to do all our painting first up front if we can, so we get lots of drying time, okay? Then we have our wooden plaques. So we have our plain wooden plaque, which again, same principle, has 2 holes in it. So you can either have it hung portrait or landscape. Now I've done 2 different types of decoration for this. Using both landscape and portrait, and it's up to you what you want to do. You may be crafting along with us today, but it's your choice of what you would like to have your finished decor project to be. So I'm here to give you all the tips and guidance, etc., and technique, and show you how to do it. But if you think, do you know what, Lesley, I don't want to do it that way, then it's entirely up to you. Okay. So the first one is, this is the home. Okay, so this home one uses the walnut crystals and obviously the home, and I decided to set that absolutely portrait. But if you wanted to do the home one and this, there's nothing stopping you do it in a landscape format. Obviously you just make sure your letters were that way. Okay, so that's the walnut stain one. Now then, sometimes that I think is very quite retro and quite sort of more old-fashioned-y. This one is much more modern, I think, and a lot brighter. So this is been painted. So if you want to do the white one, I did say in the instructions, if you could paint this with your white paint or gesso first, so it'll allow time for it to dry. And I also done the letters. I did mine this morning because I forgot at 5:30 at home. Okay, so again, this one needs to have been already prepped. Again, there's nothing to stop you if you want to doing the love that way down portrait. It's entirely up to you. And then last but not least, we have got our box frame. Now, same principle with this. It can sit like that, okay? So if you want to do something and do it that way, you don't have to use the stamps we're using. If you want to create your own with the other stamps that you've got in the kits, that's absolutely fine. I have chosen to do it, again, to stand portrait. And of course, it has two sides, and you do it like that as well. And this has, as you already know, if you've opened it, it's got glass in it to hold the actual artwork. So that's the projects we're going to be doing today. I hope you're going to have fun with it. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the, if you're going to do walnut stain, this is the bit where we need to start with the walnut stain. If you're not doing walnut stain and you want to do you're going to be doing the white acrylic black, then if you don't mind just watching and waiting with us while we do this. So we have got walnut crystals in our kit. You've got yours, have you, David?
I have, yes.
What? Tell me, you've packed plenty of them, you should know. Right, okay, so this is my own large one, okay? So this is mine. I'm going to take the lid off very carefully with these because they do, a bit like, you know, glitter, they do sprinkle everywhere. Now, walnut crystals are very much like sugar crystals and salt crystals. So I'm going to dissolve these in lukewarm water.
Why would you use lukewarm?
Okay, lukewarm, if you try to dissolve salt or sugar in cold water, you'll know it does dissolve eventually, but it takes a lot longer. If you use lukewarm water, you're going to break the crystals down and they will dissolve much quicker. Right, so I'm going to show this in here. If you can see on camera, am I on the overhead? Right, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you. You don't need a lot of these. More is not better with this, so about that much is all you need. Is that clear? I'll do it on the white so you can see. I don't know if that's helpful. So that's about the end, or half a teaspoonful works, okay? So pop that into a pot. Yeah, that's in yours, will do okay in there, fine. And could I ask you to pass me the water, please, David? Thank you. So this is lukewarm water. Now, again, we don't need to do a whole amount, but we are going to do a couple of coats. So that should actually be enough, I think. Okay.
Thank you.
And I should have brought a sturdy stick, so here we go. Now, you might be able to see there on the overhead, that is pretty dark. Oh yes, I can see on the screen as well myself. So that is pretty dark. You don't want it to be any thinner than that. It is like coffee, as Chris has just remarked. And give it a good stir, and hopefully the warm water will have helped. How's yours doing, David? All right?
It's still a bit lumpy, but we're getting there.
Lumpy? How much did you put in? Don't worry, it will dissolve.
Only what you told me to put in.
It's going to be an interesting 2 hours, isn't it, everybody? Right. Right. Okay. So, there we go. That is now dissolved, at least mine has. And as you can see on my paper towel here, how dark that is. It's a very, very dark stain. Okay, so hopefully you've got yours dissolved. And now we need to take a flat brush. I did say into here there should be a fairly wideish flat brush. The only reason is it just makes you cover quicker. It helps you to cover quicker. Now the one thing I will say is take anything else that's in the way out of the way, because walnut crystals will stain. That's the whole idea of them. It is a walnut stain and they will stain very easily if you get splashes on them. So we've got, hopefully you've got your copy paper out. I did say to put copy paper down. And now I'm going to take my plaque and literally we're going to start staining, okay? Now, okay. Okay, is that better?
We're just going to take a moment or so just to readjust Lesley's microphone, but I do believe we might have a photograph sent in by Sheila. Let's have a look. Oh, there's Sheila. She's crafting along in her house, in her kitchen. That looks a nice kitchen. And I like what you've got on the table as well. You've got your craft along kit. Oh, how lovely. That's where I do a lot of my crafting, actually, in my kitchen. So how lovely. Thank you for sending that picture in, Sheila. And if you have any pictures of yourself crafting along, you and the gang, send them in. Let's see, and let's show David and Lesley how you're crafting along. Right, I do believe the readjustment has been made. Back to you, Lesley.
Okay, sorry about that. It was my microphone. It's apparently disappeared down the bottom of my dress. I have just added a little bit more walnut stain because mine's looking very pale. So please feel free to add some more if yours is also looking pale. Right, so, and here we go. That's better. It needs to be darker. Right. So just slosh it on. There is actually no technique to doing this. You just need to slosh it on. We will need to do a couple of coats to get it to a darker colour. But there's nothing to stop you if you want, because you don't have to stick your letters down during the show. If you want yours to be darker and it's not dark enough for you during the show, then please feel free to add a couple more coats. Depends how dark you want it. You see, for some people, that might be dark enough. It will dry slightly lighter, but some people like it. If you want it as dark as mine, then you're going to need to apply 2 or 3 coats. So you don't have to do the back. I didn't. Well, I did do a couple of coats on the back, but just do the sides. And because this wood is porous, it's been chosen for this to be stained, you can do the edges too.
Oh, good.
Have you started doing your edges, David?
I have.
That's absolutely fine. So, yeah. There's no technique to this at all, because you can't see any streaks with walnut stain like this, because the wood actually soaks it up. Okay, I'm trying to do this. I'm watching myself on camera as well to see if you can see how this is working. So just run it over the edges. Very easy to do. Now the beauty about walnut stain is if you make sure that it's well dissolved, you can put it into a spritzer and you can spray it. It can be used on paper and card. It's also great for dyeing ribbons. Obviously not if you were going to then wash them, but for decorative ribbons and things you can use it on that. You can use it on canvas, you can use it on hessian. Walnut crystals are fantastic for staining so many things. You can use it to stain paint, and I'm going to show you with what I have here how we could stain our white paint, or white gesso with it. Okay, now I suggest, okay, I've got mine done. Okay, I've got those. Leave it on one of your pieces of copy paper and just set it to one side. So, excuse me while I just pop it over there out the way. In any depends what the conditions are to take this to dry. If it's cold, it does take longer. Warmer room, it should dry. You can use a heat gun to waft over it if you want, but bearing in mind what I've always told you about dyes, and walnut stain is a dye, the heat tends to leach out some of the colour. But if you want to push it, then you can, of course, dry it with a heat gun if you wish. Right, so let's move on to our next project, which is going to be the photo frame. So this has got glass in it already, so I'm going to now take you to the one that we already should have. We should all have one of these, and you see that slot in the middle? That's where your glass comes out, and it should drop out both pieces of glass fairly easy. Okay, and the idea is that you sandwich your artwork between the two. Okay, so leave your glass somewhere safe out the way so it doesn't get stood on or broken. Okay. Right, now then, same principle. You could use your walnut stain if you wanted to dye this. I've used white acrylic paint and some black paint to do this grey. Now this is entirely up to you. It's your choice. If you want to do it in your home, you might want to do it to tint it to go with your home, so you could tint it with some brown paint and some white acrylic and just do it that way. As I say, you can do the walnut stain. If you want to, you can just leave it plain. It's entirely up to you. This is your project, you know what to do, but I'm going to show you how we can tint our paint to do the grey effect. So I just think I need probably to move I've got one of our paint mats here. So I'm just going to move that over so you can actually see. I also need, excuse me, just take a slip of water. Could you pass my water pot, David? You've got yours. Could I possibly pass mine off the front, please?
Can I not have both of them?
No. That's just greedy and rude. Okay, so I have got white paint, white acrylic paint. Now, if you haven't got white acrylic paint, white gesso is fine. Or even tinting base. If you've got white Decor tinting base, that works as well. Okay, so I've got that. I also, because I was rushing to do something else, I just need to get out my black paint. If you just bear with me, it's in the drawer here. And I have got black paint. Okay, which again is an acrylic. There you go. So I'm just using a black acrylic. And I'm going to put the white down first. What do you want to do, David?
I'm going to use a brown.
Okay, so white acrylic down first. Okay, so there's my white, and I think I actually might do just a little bit more. In this case, I always use very careful, but if you're tinting your paints with another colour, it's always better to do more than it is to do less. And the reason for that is that it's then very difficult to try and match up the colour you've tinted again. So you can end up with either a slight shade darker or a slight shade lighter. It's a bit like having knitting wools, etc., with the same lot number and etc., and all that type of thing. Always do more than you need in this instance because it makes more sense. So I know it might feel a bit of a waste, but I'd much rather do it that way than try and match that up to halfway through. You only want a very little brush. Have you got a very little brush, David? Because I can let you have one of one of these very fine ones.
Oh, I have one of them?
Yeah, so just a fine brush or a small brush, because you'll be less likely tempted to put on too much paint. And I want you to put your paint on the brush. Okay, and the reason for that being, you're not going to get too much of it. Okay, so you've got a little dollop of that as opposed to tipping it up and having too much. And start at the edge. Okay, and start mixing. And the reason for that is if you've got too much paint, you can pull it off the edge. If you put too much paint right in the middle, you're committed and you'll have lost all of that white paint. Now, good mix. And as you can see already, I don't need any more. This is going quite grey now. But can you see if you put too much black paint on and you put that right into the middle of your white paint, you couldn't take the black paint away. So hopefully, there you go. Can you see we now have a nice grey? Okay, now I'm not going to waste that. I'm going to put it straight on. Now you can paint this acrylic paint, straight onto your wood. And take another wide brush. And here we go. And that is really nice grey colour. Actually, it's not a far away colour from the one I've already did originally, so that's not bad, is it? I'm quite chuffed with that. There we go. So as I said, at this point, It's up to you. So you can have grey. I mean, if you wanted a tint of blue or a tint of green or something like that, then please feel free to do it. As long as you use the same method that I used to tint my paint, then you're absolutely fine. And as you can see, one coat, just turn that to the camera so you can see there. One coat is enough with this. Okay, so here we go. Let's turn over. So the idea now is to just continue to paint all four sides. Now, because this is freestanding, unfortunately, you aren't going to get away with, now this paint dries very quickly, or it should dry fairly quickly, although I know we're in the studio, but if it's touch dry, pop it onto a surface, a glass mat, so that you're not going to get stuck to anything if necessary. These mats were beautifully clean for us today, and I feel very unfair to put some, but I'm going to just do it now. I've just heard my director go, oh, it's okay. I was blessed if it was Chris that did it. So here we go. And we're just going to go all round painting. Now, one of the things I always say about painting, don't slop too much on. Again, same principle. And as Meg's just commented as well, you can always add on, but you can't take away. It's much easier to put a thinner coat on and get it more even. If you tended to put sort of a whole load of paint into your brush, then it's much that's way how you get streaks, because it's much easier to level out a thin coat than it is a thicker coat. Okay, and you get brush marks in it as well. So, okay, so here we go. And it spreads very, very easily. Yeah, so there we go. Now then, just going to do the, now edge of your brush is much quicker. And I will say to you that if you want to leave, or do, I have scuffed some of the edges afterwards, but if you wanted to do more of a shabby chic effect, then there's nothing stopping you, especially on this part, the shortest, what I call the shorter edges. There is no problem in you just doing brush strokes over and still leaving some of the wood showing through. And that kind of gives you that, what I call shabby chic effect very quickly. I believe there's a question come in, which I believe Janice is going to tell us about.
Yes, yes, we have a question from Carol, and Carol says, can she use the walnut stain to colour acrylic paint? Do I need to dissolve it first? That's a very good question, actually.
And the answer is yes, you do need to dissolve it. The crystals won't dissolve, need to be dissolved in water. So before you ever make them into a spray or add them to colour your gesso or whatever your paint you want to do, you must make them into a spray first. Because obviously you're going to put them into a cold material and they'll just sit there, as I say, a bit like salt and sugar. They will just stay in that position and they won't melt. Yes? Something else, I think?
Oh, hello. Sorry, I didn't know you'd come back to me. I was just mesmerised by Lesley there. Right, she also says, it's lovely to see you set free from your stamp making, David.
It's nice to be away from the stamp making, believe me, especially in this temperature.
Yes, it's been very, very hot in our unit this last week with... Now, I have actually run out slightly, so this should be a temptation to see how well I can do this. Yeah, doing I shouldn't do. Okay, it's too much. That is too much paint, I can tell you now. Right, here we go. I think I might have just got away with that. Yes. Okay. So it's going to be slightly dark, I think, on the inside. That's fine. So I'm just slathering paint on the inside. Try not to get any paint into the grooves where the glass slides. And the reason for that being, these are measured up to fit for a certain size, and it's a bit like when you do MDF kits. We always suggest that you put the kit together before you then paint, for this very reason, because if you jam it up with paint, it can be more difficult to get the bits and pieces to go together again. So, okay. Now, I've nearly finished mine. I don't know how you're doing, David. How are you getting on?
I'm going to find my paint's beginning to thicken up. Can I use water to thin it?
No, you shouldn't use water, not when, otherwise I wouldn't suggest you do that. Pop in a little bit more of the base paint. That would be better. You can, if you have got a bit of clean water, just dip your brush into it and thin it up, but don't literally spray any water to it, because if you make your paint thinner, you won't get the same coverage. It's okay to start out with it. You can make a wash from your acrylic paint, and washes are great, but you need to have started out with a wash. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. Does that make sense to you, David?
Don't know, I'm not listening.
There you go, you see. As in life. There we go. Right, I've finished mine. Oh, goodness, this is going to be a fun 2 hours, as I said. Good grief, is it 2:30 already? Wow, doesn't time fly when you're enjoying yourself? Well, I hope you're enjoying yourself at home. Thank you very much for that wonderful question. Very good question. And thank you as well for the compliment about David being let out, Carol. That was very sweet of you. So I'm just going to put that to one side again, somewhere over here with my papers. There we go. Just so that can dry separately. Now this might be a good time, if you need to put another coat on your Walnut Stain plaque. So I'm just going to add some more to that. And I think we've got a VT, I think, coming home, something like that, Janice?
Yeah, do you know, Lesley, I'm having a cheeky play with the stamps. I've got a Craftalong kit, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait till I can be at home in the comfort of my home. Not that this isn't very comfortable here, because it is. And I'm going to watch the show again, and that's something that you guys can do as well. And you can buy the Craftalong kit whilst we've got it. But I'm just having a cheeky play with some of the stamps in a journal. Right, we've got a video now of some of the wonderful samples made with the kit. Take a look. Isn't it nice to learn all these techniques, and some of them new to you and to me as well? It's fantastic, it really is. We're heading back to Lesley and David in a moment's time, but I'd like to run you through the kit if I can. It is still available, you can buy it, and you can pay for it over 2 months as well. We'll send it all out in one go, and you can watch the show like I'm going to do when I get home, and you'll be able to craft along in your own time if you've not got the kit already. If you have got the kit, I hope you're having a really nice time. Right, so you've got 3 stamp sets, and these stamp sets, of course, you can use beyond your projects in the Craftalong. So you've got Sow the Seed, you've got Mother Earth, and they've got a really cool modern texture stamp. So if you're into your grungy mixed media style and your techniques, then you've got stamps for all of those. So that's your stamp sets, and they are unmounted. And then you've got your wooden plaque. Now your wooden plaque, let me just turn this around. It's already got the holes on the back, so landscape or portrait, which is fantastic. There you go. You've got your picture frame. Again, let's just lean that forward. You can put your picture in there. That's what we're working on at the moment. If you don't have a picture, then you can pop a little piece of artwork in there, which is really nice. Then next along, you've got your Bisque Plaque, and just turning that over, you can see landscape or portrait. Be very careful with that because it's nice and delicate, but it's going to look gorgeous when it's finished. You've then got your PVA glue. Which is great because I can never find the right glue. I'm rubbish at finding the right glue. So I just kind of use anything. So this is the right glue. It's right there in the kit. So that's brilliant. You've also got a sheet of masking tissue, so you can use that with your stamps, and that will enable you to layer up your stamps. So you'll mask off part of the stamp and then you can start layering it up. Have a lot of fun with that and be adventurous, as well as crafting along with the projects. Then you've got your clear varnish, so you've got some of that from Deco Art. You've got your Walnut Stain that Leslie's been using. You've got your white embossing powder, and you've got your Versamark ink pad right there. You've also got your book pages, and they've got your dictionary definitions on. You've also got LOVE, which is your MDF that spells out love. And what I like about this, I like the font actually in this. It's a little different. Let's just stand that up. Oh, will it stand up? I think, oh, look at, will the O stand up? I'm going to try everyone, don't, no, it's, where's the, there's a little, no, there's not a little flat part, Janice, just go on, do it. They're not meant to be standing, but you know, I'll just hold that. And then you've got the L for love. It's not off. Then you've got the L for love. You've got your silver and gold foil sheets. And then you've got your MDF Home, again, really nice font as well. You've got your cling sheet for your A4 and your A5 stamp sizes, and you've also got your drawing cartridge and your white card as well. Now, inside your Craftalong kit, when you get it home, you'll have all the ingredients right there, and you'll also have a recipe sheet telling you all the other bits that are required to craft along. And I'm sure there are certain bits that you can substitute as well. So let's have a look at some of the samples. Where should we start? Should we start with the cards? These are so lovely, and thank you to the design team that put these together. Let's have a look at that one down the front. So that's using one of the stamp sets. That's nice and abstract. Looks really good in monochrome, but if you want to add colour to that, spectacular. Really good backgrounds with that one. You've also got that one. Let's bring that forward. That's really nice. In fact, is that on some foil? How pretty is that? Yeah, love that. Then the one at the back, if I lift this up for you, you've got your toadstool there, which looks fantastic. That one is by, I think it's by Brenda. And then this one hiding at the back that you've not seen yet, let's bring that one forward because that's really pretty, isn't it? That's lovely. How gorgeous. These are just some suggestions of cards that you can make and create with your Craftalong kit, because some of the elements, of course, you can use far beyond the projects that they're intended. It's great value for money, $28.95 today and $28.95 in a month's time. 490819. Be quick, though, to make sure you get yours so you can play along and watch the show again. Right, so let's have a look at the website. This is where you can go to see Chocolate Baroque products. Do go and have a peruse. Do go and have a look at some of the wonderful stamps that are available for you, and have a look at the 5-star reviews on there as well. So that's called Shopping by Brand on the Hochanda website. You can have a look, and if you do add anything to your, oh look, there's me. If you do add anything else to your basket, then it's divisible into 2. So that's how you can shop by brand. Just find Chocolate Baroque and in you go, and have a look at all the goodies available to you. Right, heading back to Lesley and David now.
Hello, welcome back. Right, hopefully now you've kind of added another coat to your walnut stain if you're doing that. Alternatively, now we're going to go down to the Bisque Plaque. Now again, you need your white, and you need to decide what you're going to do for the black colour. I have used 2 different ones here, so I've used a bit of a lime green into the white to create a very pale background, and with this one I added a little bit of a purpley shade into that to give it that kind of like purple lilac-y colour, but it's up to you. I do suggest that whatever you put there, you can then use that darker to do painting in with the actual seed heads. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside again because I'm frightened to death I break them. And here we go. So back to the white paint again, white gesso, and a smidgen of whatever colour you're going to tint it with. So I literally just want, whoops. Do you know what helps if you shake it, Lesley? There we go. So a smidge of the colour into here. Probably want a little bit more than that. Come on, there we go, that's it. Oh, that's really, see, I've done what I said I shouldn't have done. Actually, it's not too bad, it's quite pale. Once I get it done, it won't be too bad. There we go. So either mix with a small brush or mix with a palette knife. There we go. That's it. So I'm happy with that. What colour have you chosen, David?
I've chosen the purple.
Oh, okay. Yeah, these seed heads, you can get them, if you look on good old-fashioned interweb, you can see that sometimes seed heads come in like a greeny colour, sometimes they come in a purpley colour. But as I've always said, this is your artwork, and at the end of the day, you colour it whatever colour you like. So, back to the larger brush. Just paint that on there. Take this off here and get it central. Hopefully I'm going to turn it this way around. I hope that fits into the overhead okay. Right, so now we just paint over here, and you really only need one coat on your Bisque Plaque. You're only tinting it. You don't need to give it, 12 coats or whatever. Just, if you want to make it darker and you want to put another coat on it, that's absolutely fine. But I find that one coat is just more than enough. As I say, all you want to do is tint it rather than coat it in colour.
My paint's got a skin on it. Is there anything I can do to...
Your paint's got a skin on it. It's got some in there. Take it out with your fingers. Not your, if you take it out with your finger, that's it. And then you should be able to just do my not so clever thing of not making enough for myself this time. There we go. Right. Here we go. So, this isn't very much fun, I know, but literally watching paint dry. But it's the sort of thing that we had to do this live. There was no other way than doing this while you're all doing it at home, so that you could get the right technique. Not that, the painting, as I say, for a technique, it's just understanding what works with what. And I think I'm just about done. Okay, that's mine done. Whoops. How about everybody else? How are you doing, David? Are you struggling?
I'm struggling, but I'm getting...
What's the problem? That's a lovely colour, mind, I have to say. That is really nice, that colour. You're doing wonderfully. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah. So, there's mine, and there's David's. So I'm just going to give that a quick spritz off to clean this mat up. He's very, very neat. He has all his in one corner. I've got paint everywhere.
Still can't find anything, though.
There we go. So, and that should be your plaque coated. If you want to put another coat, there's nothing wrong. I'm just going to set that to one side. Slightly deeper than the one that I did, but I don't mind that. Okay, so there we go. Look, there's my plaque. And the one thing about the biscuit is so smooth and cool. It really feels lovely. So, mine's dry. Yours will probably take a bit longer, David. I think you put a slightly thicker coat on than me. Okay. So, while that is just finishing drying, let's go on to the letters. So, this is where you need to decide what you're going to do. If you're going to do the home one on the Walnut Stain plaque, okay, so if you want to do this one, okay, so if you want to do this one, then we're going to paint directly on to the MDF pieces. And the reason being, the colours of your paint actually look a lot different when you paint onto here than when you actually paint onto one that's already been prepped with gesso or white paint. So if we want to do this one, then we're going to paint directly onto it. Alternatively, if you want to do the love one, then this is the way you can go straight. This will already be finished and white, and you can go straight onto your Right, now the idea with all of them is I've used 4 separate colours on all of mine, but there's nothing to stop you using alternate colours. So you say you want 2 colours, so you want alternate letters in those 2 colours and the other letters in the other colour. It's entirely up to you. I decided to use all 4, but like I say, this is yours, you don't have to. Okay, so now it's a case of choosing your colours, David. I'm going to do home, so I'm going to do the H, the O and the M.
As this is a present for you, I'm going to do love.
Oh, isn't he sweet? Okay, so I have got, now these I did with slightly different colours. I did these with some other paints that I had. I'm actually going to possibly could do the pink on there, I could do the reds. What am I going to do? I think I have brought with me the paints that, if you were lucky enough to get them when I was on the show, our limited edition paints, this is my choice. I'm going to use some of the colours out of those. So I'm going to use the pinky, the lime. I use the red, I think, the red and the green, and that blue. Maybe I'm going to do some of that blue. Okay, this is where I'm going to just mess about, I think, and see what works. So, now you need to decide, as I say, what colours you're going to do them in. You've got to remember how they're going to be when they're laid out. So, if you did want the green next to the red, you might want to put it at the end on the E. So you need to think how you're going to lay them out. If you're going to do all different colours. If you're going to do alternative colours, then that's absolutely fine. Are you doing all the same colour, David? So, I think... So, yeah, good idea. That's a cracking idea. I'm actually going to do virtually similar, but I'm going to do it that way. No, I'm not. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to put that in. There we go. So I've got a red, I have got a green, red primary colour, green is the secondary colour, turquoise, which is a blue, so that comes in the primary, and then I've got like the fuchsia, which is secondary colour. Okay, so here we go. Now, again, I wouldn't suggest, because these have all been laser cut for us, you don't need to do the edges. Oh gosh, I don't know if you can hear this, it's hammering it down, everybody. That is the rain on the roof. We haven't got a jet plane taking off from here, it is actually the rain. We drove through something like this morning. So yes, you don't have to do the edges, so you only need to do the front of your letters. And again, you don't need an awful lot of paint, so my suggestion is a slightly smaller brush, and you don't need too much of your paint. So my suggestion for this is always is to take the paint to your brush, or pop a little bit of paint actually physically onto the letters. Okay?
Oh.
It's fine. And now you see you can control it. Now, depending on what paint you've got and how thick and how much you have got, you won't get the same colours you've got in the bottle if you're going straight onto the MDF letters, because the slight laser tinted effect or the darker effect on your letters will give it that darker finish. So there we go. So there's a lot of painting to start with this, obviously. It's, there we go. So that's... Are you enjoying yourself, David, now you're into it?
Yeah.
I think he's doing a lot of concentrating. I have to say that one of the things that I've always found when I've run classes is that if you set people to do things that need concentration, which is painting sometimes, or certainly cutting out, the room goes very quiet, and most people have got their tongue out, and they're all making faces with their tongues as they're going around corners cutting things out. So you're no different to that, David. Well done. So yeah, a little bit of paint. This is the quietest I've known him. Ah, dear.
Don't worry, I'll make up for it.
Worried now, worried. So you might find with some of your paints, some are more translucent than others. So you will see some of the colour coming through. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I quite like the idea of having some of the tint coming through, because I think it looks... There we go. A little bit more paint. So that's a nice turquoise blue you've got there, David. Very nice. Nice choice of colours. So, how are you doing at home, everybody? If we have any more emails in, probably everybody's just concentrating on what they're doing.
I have a question. If I was to do a colour that I didn't like...
Sorry?
If I was to do a colour that I didn't like, specifically on the O, I could turn it over and do another colour and it would still stick to the plaque.
Yes, it would. A good question. I don't know if you heard that, everybody, did you? But that's a good question. Yes, you would. As long as it's dry, it will still stick. We seem to be doing... We're actually in a good place here at the moment, because we're just about finished most of the paint work that we have to do, and then we can get on to stamping and all that sort of lovely stuff. Right. It's better. One thing I find with translucent paints, especially Americana by Deco Art, is that they haven't, because they're translucent, they have a slight oil base. So you really need to give them a good shake to wake them up and get them started. Otherwise you get all the oil out first and none of the paint. And it's the oil that mixes with the paint that gives them that kind of translucent effect. So here we go. Anybody coming in now saying, oh, well, literally it's watching paint dry. So, have an excess of paint here this time. There we go. These are good chunky letters as well, so a 6mm MDF. Kindly made for us by Craft Yourself Silly. So. Right. Once we've done this, we're going to be moving on to sticking our dictionary papers to our white card. So, just so you know. Yes, okay, a couple of minutes will be fine. I only need a couple of minutes.
Whilst Lesley is just finishing the colouring of the E for home, let's just take a look at the Craftalong kit that you can purchase right now. And it doesn't matter if you don't get it in time for this afternoon, because we're already an hour into the show. But you will be able to watch the shows again on Rewind, so when you do get your kit home, you'll be able to craft along. And if you know anyone else and they want to craft along with you, and it's safe to do so, maybe they're in your bubble, maybe they're in your crafty bubble, why don't you tell them about it as well? And then we'll be able to buy the Craftalong kits, and you'll both be able to sit there and craft along with David and Lesley when the show's available on Rewind. So 2 payments of £28.95, 490819 is your item number. Now the kit includes items that you can use beyond the projects that we've got for you in the Craftalong, and that's starting with the stamps. These are lovely. You've got Sow the Seed with the poppy pods on there. I do like those, and that lovely leaf with the nature, seeds and botanical letters. You've also got Mother Earth on there, where you've got the word earth, and you've got grow, you've got that lovely mushroom on there, and now, Lesley, can I ask, on the Mother Earth?
Yes.
I was going to say an artichoke.
No, it's the top of a pine cone.
Top of a pine cone.
It's
there
a pine cone looking at it from the top.
There you go. Perfect. But
can I just say something about these as well that I haven't said? These two stamps, Mother Earth and Sow the Seed, were drawn for us by Kim Moody.
Oh, fabulous. How lovely. And
so the mushroom, the pine cone, and the seed heads and the leaf were drawn by Kim.
Yeah, they're lovely. I love that mushroom. I think the mushroom is fabulous.
Isn't it?
And, you know, I think you're going to have a lot of joy colouring that in as well. So those are the stamps. And again, you can use those beyond this particular project. We've got the wooden plaque for you, landscape or portrait. You do have the holes on the back to mount that on the wall. You've also got the wooden frame, and at the top of that, you can slip in a picture if you want to. You've got the measurements on there. Or you could actually put a piece of artwork or follow, of course, the craft along with Lesley. Then you've got your plaque. You've got the connections on the back. There you go. So you can pop that onto the wall. Landscape or portrait. You've got your Pva glue on there as well. You've got your masking tissue. So you can use that in conjunction with your stamps. You've got all the information on there as well if you're using it beyond the craft along. You've got your varnish on there, that glossy varnish, excellent quality there from Deco Art. You've also got your walnut stain as well, and if I just bring this to the fore, it's like a pepper pot or a salt pot, so you can see how you can take that out carefully. You've got your embossing powder, and you've also got your mini ink pad. That embossing powder is going to go a long way. Go a long way. You've got your book pages, and you've got your MDF letters that spell out love, L-O-V-E, love. Then you've got your silver and gold foil. Coming over there, you've got more MDF letters. You've got home, H-O-M-E. Then you've got your drawing cartridge and your white card, and you've also got your cling. Right there, and you have that also in the A4 as well. So it's a fabulous kit to get, and you are going to use most of these items again and again and again. It's worth it to get hold of those stamps drawn by Kim Moody. Absolutely sensational. 490819, and it is available by splitting the cost over 2 months, so it makes it affordable. It really does. You're more than welcome to stay with us for the next hour of Craft Along, and you're more than welcome to pop this into your basket so you can craft along at home and watch the show on rewind. But let's take a look at some of the fantastic samples made from this kit. Remember, this is your show too, so do email in. Shows you pictures of what you're up to. It's studio@hochanda.com. If you have just joined us, welcome to the Craft Along. We're now heading into the final hour. It's a 2-hour show. Let's head back to Lesley and David.
Hello again. Right, we're back. I just want to show you before I move these, for those of you that haven't done, can you see how much darker my paints are now than they were in their original pots? See, that was quite a bright red, that was a bright green, turquoise, and then I used the fuchsia pink right at the end here. And of course, because the letters are already darker wood, it gives it more of that retro look, if you can see that, which I quite like. Can we look at David's, because I think his looks absolutely fabulous as well. Isn't that fantastic? So, set those to one side for the moment, because you just want to make sure that they are totally dry before we add any stamping. So now, we're going to go to our little packet that contains our papers, our dictionary papers, our card, etc. And you want to take one of the white pieces of card out, and now you can either use 2 pieces of dictionary paper, or you can use a piece of dictionary paper and a piece of book paper. It's entirely up to you. I've done dictionary paper here. I'm on 3, I think. Is that correct? So that's the dictionary paper, and then I've used a different book paper on the back. He hasn't done his yet. This was my original. We haven't done that bit yet, Chris. My director's saying if David would like to show you what his bit is.
I'm just choosing my words.
So I used the paper on one side and the dictionary on the other. It's entirely, again, this is up to you. You can put dictionary paper on both sides, paper on both sides, but we're going to do it now, just to allow the glue to dry a bit before we stamp. So you've got the PVA glue, great for doing the letters that we're going to be doing it, but also fantastic, it's got a nozzle, and fantastic for gluing book papers, etc. So do you want to start one side?
I need to borrow your glue.
Yep. So just brush it in. Oh.
And possibly your glue brush. I've forgotten mine.
After all of that, you've forgotten your glue brush. Did you not put it in your wallet? It's at the very end there.
Oh, yes.
He has, David, yeah. He's got himself all set up. I give the guy his due. He's going to go for this. He's going for it in style. He's got a proper brush pack and everything. Can you see your paintbrush, David? Your posh roll, look there, your roll. So, plenty of glue on, but then paint it out quite thinly. It doesn't help, we're in the studio and glue dries out so quickly here. Probably quicker than it does for you at home. But just want to make sure. Oh, all the hairs are coming out of my brush as well, which doesn't help matters.
I've got the same problem.
Oh, right. So get that off there. This is going to be dry before I even get it. Oh, and stuck to me too. How cool is that? Right, come on. That's it. It is quite a thick PVA glue, this, and the reason for that is it stands up to the test of time. Some thicker PVA glues will dry into your card and then dry out. And the idea with this thicker one is it won't, and of course it's great for sticking letters and things together. Right, that's one side done. So take your piece of paper off your copy paper, turn it over, and the best thing to do is to stick this to your the paper, dictionary paper or your paper, rather than trying to do it the other way on. And if you hold in the middle, roll that way down, and then like that, you should take all the air pockets out. Okay? And then do that. And then with your scissors, while it's still like that, because you need to put your other back piece on as well, just trim around your edges like so. And the reason we're doing this is it'll have time. It may buckle a bit, but don't worry about that. Trim all around the edge. Now, if this was a piece of MDF, or if this anything, canvas or anything like that, I would actually use a I've forgotten the word.
Sanding block.
Thank you, a sanding block to sand it down, because it works better. It actually works into the actual surface, but you can't do that with a card. So there's my first piece on, and then you need to repeat. I just want to do the back, so you need to do the back, David, as well. Just decide what you're going to use on the back. There's the glue. And do you want to put the top on your crystals? Because I have a feeling I nearly knocked those over. Okay, so I keep covering up my name. This is so I know who I am. They didn't think they'd trust me to know who I was, so they put a sticker on so it tells me who I am. Now we've very kindly got 2 overheads going this afternoon. I have to say, production team at Hochanda are always absolutely amazing, and we've got 2 overheads. So to know who's what and which is who, we have. I'm going to use the same dictionary. I'm going to use dictionary paper on both of them, I think, today. I've decided.
Can I wash this out in water?
Yes, you can. Get it the right way around, Lesley. If you're going to do that, make sure that they're both, you know, the right way up, and that you haven't. Same principle, down the middle, cross over there, and then round the edges, and that should keep the. You shouldn't have any bubbles then. Okay. I think we're going to have something on the. Here we go. You might want to look at this, David, if you have time.
Yeah, we've got a picture sent in, Lesley and David. This is from Sandra. Thank you, Sandra. Sandra is enjoying the craft along, and she says, lovely products to use. Look at that, Lesley and David. Isn't that lovely?
Is absolutely gorgeous. That is fantastic. Sandra is actually one of our design team members.
Is she?
Yes.
She's very neat and tidy, Lesley.
Yeah, Sandra put a picture on yesterday on our Facebook group, on Chocolate Box Facebook group, saying how she was all prepared. And everybody said, oh, wow, you know, doesn't it look just fantastic?
Yeah, it
Mine
really
doesn't
does.
look like that on a good day. So I'm heartily impressed.
I can vouch for that.
So I have trimmed up my papers. Easy for me not to say. I have trimmed up my paper, and I'm going to put now. This glue is amazing. It's also got a prong that goes right down in the centre of it, so it keeps it nice and tight, and you can get your glue out again. Because a number of times you end up with one that's sort of stuck up and you can't get anything out of it. Right, so I'm going to set that to one side, and now we should be able to work on our plaque. So back to our Bisque Plaque, our ceramic one. That should be dry. I've got glue everywhere, so I've got rid of those. And my plaque is there. Right, now we're going to get stamping, kiddies. The thing you've been waiting for the last hour, stamping. Right, I'm going to use the seed heads. Okay, so there's the one next to me. Okay. So this is slightly green, more green, but that's not a problem. So I'm going to take, now you can do this in one go depending on the size of your acrylic block, or you can do it separately. Now for this one I used that stamp and its smaller friend. For the other plaque I used, and I shall bring that in as well, move it along, I used this stamp and its larger friend. So you have Daddy, Mummy and Baby. Okay, so it's entirely up to you which ones you want to use. So I think I'm going to still go with the big one and the small one. Okay, so, right. Right, so with my acrylic block and my larger stamp. Now I'm using for quickness, because I am doing it on TV, I've got a large Versamark, but you should have your small Versamark. It works exactly the same way, just I'm doing it obviously for speed. So lots of light tapping with your Versamark ink onto your largest seed pod head. Okay, just look at it as well in the light, and if you can see it shining anything a bit round the edges like so, just take a nail or a finger just to run that off the edge. And the reason for that being is that your embossing powder will stick to that.
Yeah, of course you can.
And you don't want that. Okay? So now turn your work sideways. Make sure that you've got this at the top. What are you looking for, David?
I seem to have mislaid my Versamark.
It's over there on the other side, underneath that one. You have mislaid it, have you? There you go then. Here, take mine. It's fine. Okay. Oh, not just
I do
the
a lot
lid.
with the lid.
I've just given them the lid, it's just the lid. So making sure that the my hanger is at the top here, I'm going to stamp this one into position. Now you can do it where you want. It's up to you, at an angle, straight, it's up to you however you want to do it. So, and firm pressing, and always keep one hand on your acrylic block and then away with the other. Now this is dreadful for camera work because you can't actually see. So there we go. So I'm going to take that seed head off. You might just be able to see. Okay, and I'm just going to take my cloth, wipe that over, and then I'm going to now take my smaller one, and could I have the Versamark ink again, please, David? Thank you. Take the cloth out the way and add my small one. There we go. Again, check that I've got nothing around the edges. I have a little bit around there. Lots of light tapping, and you tend to take, people say to me, what do you do first? Do you take the stamp to the ink pad or the ink pad to the stamp? And my recommendation is always to take the ink pad to the stamp, for the simple reason is you have more control, it's lighter. You can do lots of light tapping to ink it up. You're much more heavy-handed if you do it that way. So I'm going to add my little one in the base here. I hope you're all managing to keep up with this. There we go, and there's its little friend. There we go. So I'm just going to clean that off again. Now, white embossing powder, which you've got in your kit, and make sure you've got some paper underneath. And the best way to do this, I'm going to have to try and do mine sort of away from camera kind of, because what you should do is actually do it like that. So I'm going to try, I'm going to do it like this, tip it, because what you want to do is to get your powder to just tip off onto the paper. It's much easier. And you should be able to see that now. I'll just need to take my paper off, apologies. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, is that a good ooh? Now then, if you do think you've got some stick, if you want to show yours to camera too, David, in the middle, you can do. If you feel that you've got some that you shouldn't, take a very, very fine brush, and off the acrylic paint you can actually take off any excess that might be there. So there's just the odd speck, and I just take it off like so. Right, lay this down. Now this is where we're going to be using our heat guns next. Are you having a bit of problems with your... Oh, whoops. That's it. Okay. So make sure your heat gun is nice and warm. Okay. I've got it. This is where I've got a heat proof mat as well. Okay. And try and heat up just a corner of the bisque. It won't crack as long as you don't get your heat gun too close. That's the tip here. Okay. So if you get it warm there and you start to bring it in, you should find your plaque starts to heat up fairly quickly, and then we can get this going. A thicker material, whether it's MDF or whether it's like this, does take longer to heat up, but it's starting to go now. Come on, she says. It will. Suddenly it'll just burst into action. There we go, it's going. Okay, there we go. And then just move it along, because now it's heating the whole plaque up. It'll just take, there we go. And up here. And that's it. So hopefully, and I just want to make sure that that has taken. Now be careful, that is very hot. For some unknown reason, mine is just... Come on. Yeah, quick on to Janice, and then it'll be ready very, very quickly.
It's fascinating, isn't it, when you do that embossing technique, but sometimes it takes time, and that's the patience that you've got, because we've had the 2-hour show. I'm just playing along with some stamps in a journal, because of course you can use these stamps beyond the projects that we've got available for you. Let's have a look at some of the samples of some cards actually, because this might be something that you want to do after you've crafted along and you've produced and you've made and you've created, and you might think after the 2 hours, you know what, I just want to carry on. So maybe with your stamps at home and you've got some cards, you can make and create some artwork like these. So we've got that wonderful mushroom there. I do like this one with the check in the background. I think that is some backing paper. Feels like fabric actually. That is beautiful, isn't it? Really like that red top. And you may have seen mushrooms like that out in the wild. They do look absolutely spectacular, just nestling through the fallen leaves in the forest. Then you've got your lovely textured, I was going to say Aztec, it's more textured, isn't it? But it can be whatever you want it to be. And what's really nice about these clean lines on here as well, as we go in and get a little bit closer to those looks, you might have some fine liner pens, and I'm giving myself an idea actually. You could stamp these out and then use your fine liner pens to go in between where the white part of those details are. That would look fantastic. I might try that next actually. This next one along, that looks like a feather, doesn't it? It looks like a hawk's feather maybe fallen from the sky into the forest. And then you've got a different angle to that particular pattern. It looks completely different, doesn't it? I really like the way that it's been divided up into 4, and that circle as well on there. Absolutely spectacular. Do like that. Let me just lean that forward just to, oh no, it's wrong card. What am I looking at? It's this one here. Has that been cut out? Yeah, that's been cut out. Yeah. Now that's, I like that. I do like, do you know what? You guys at home, do you like stamping and then cutting out shapes from your stamps to make them look completely different? Because then you've got even more artwork, and then rearranging as well. Love that. Let's take a look at this one. Just, where are we? This one here. This has got the foil around the edge. And that's really nice that you've got a card there. So all of this you can make and create with your stamps, and you also have the other elements in your Craftalong kit. You can get it, it's still available, everyone. Good news, £57.90, but we'll divide the cost into 2. So pop this into your basket. It's available on FlexiBuy, and then you too can craft along when you watch the show again into it'll be available, probably available in a couple of hours. So you will be able to craft along when you get your kit home. 490819 is your item number. Right, have we embossed, Lesley? Are we ready to come back? Got the thumbs up.
I've forgotten how long it takes. You might find the same way. How long? Normally you say you don't keep the heat gun on your embossing powder too long because it melts into the actual surface. But because you're on a Bisque Plaque and you've also got your acrylic paint to act as a blocker, it's taken a lot longer for this to do than I remember it being. So, but hopefully now you should be able to see the white of the, there you go. David's is there as well, look. Look at that, that's beautiful. Very nice. And now we're going to do a bit of painting. So again, a little bit of painting. So this time I'm going to use the turquoisey blue acrylic paint, and I am going to water this down, David. You know you're asking about watering it? Mm-hmm. So we are actually going to make a little wash with it. But if you wanted to, you can actually do a watercolour as well. So watercolour paints would take on this too, because it's, you know, it's a porous surface. So if you wanted to do that, you could do that as well. But I'm going to take a very fine paintbrush now. This is where we're doing the painting. Whoops, sorry. Fine paintbrush and a little bit of water from my water pot, and then just pull it out and make it more into a wash or more into a paint. Now if you're using our brushes, chocolate block brushes, I roll my paint brush through the paint and that gets it full. And then now we're just going to act, there we go, look. And I should have let this cool a bit actually, mine's still quite warm, so it's probably going to be drying as I put it on. It is. You know, you don't really, you think, oh, 2 hours, what a long time, but you know, 2 hours goes absolutely nowhere. Okay. So, Now, this doesn't have to be precise either, because it is a seed head is a natural product. So in fairness, you wouldn't expect it to be the same colours all the time. So just keep adding the colour to it. Don't worry about going over the white, because it will come through again.
Good.
Well, have you just gone all the way over yours, David? No. If you've got it wet enough, if you've added enough water, it will actually. And I'm not worried about making mine quite patchy, because, as I say, it is a natural, and it looks better than trying to do shading, which is much more difficult on a Bisque Plaque. Bisque Plaque, I should say. Sorry, that didn't work out right. Teeth are getting in the way. Okay. So hopefully, a little bit more water. I'll do down here too. And allow your colour to run right out, because, as I say, that way. Now, I don't know if you can see on my small one here how it's resisting. So take a little bit of, that's it, just dab, 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 there you go. Yes, dab, dab, dab. Meg's ahead of me. Okay, and then I'm just going to do a little bit into here, like so. Now then, the next thing I want to do is, I want to do my stalk. I'm going to use exactly the same colour to do my stalk, because I've tried to make this one to match. It's only the seed heads, I'm going to do a slightly different colour. So I'm going to make this really quite pale, a lot more water, and then just keep painting till the colour almost runs out. And that way it looks much more natural. You see, I'm not, there you go. So you see how I've just painted that to let the colour run out? And so that way it looks much more natural. A bit much done there. Okay. I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to take the green that I had this morning that I used, which is there, to tint the back. I'm going to put a little bit over this side on its own. And I'm going to mix that with this and create a different greeny blue look. So don't be afraid to mix your colours. So it's going to tone in, but it's not going to be quite as bright. If you wanted to, you could add some white to that if you're not happy. But again, you're working then all in the same colour palette tones, and they work together. And again, you don't have to be precise, as you can see. Just run that over the top. Now, you're going to have more time than I have. If you don't want to rush this and you want to do this after the show's finished, I would understand. I'm quite used to speed painting. You get used to it when you demonstrate on TV, to be doing the speed painting. But there, hopefully. How are you doing, David? All right? You managing to keep up? Oh, that's beautiful. That's really nice. It's a vivid purple there. That's gorgeous. I love it. As I say, because the embossing powder resists, you can virtually do the smaller one over the top like so, very quickly. And it's done. There you go. How's that? And as I say, you can see you've got that almost mixed seed head look, because you haven't tried to block it all the same colour. You've just allowed your paint to run and let it do its own thing. Okay, so that's being that. I'm going to just set that aside. Mine's almost dry, but there again, I did start with a very warm plaque, so that's another reason. I don't need that anymore. I'm now going to just take that away, get rid of my paint, because otherwise I'll have an arm or an elbow in it. There we go. That's beautiful. Okay, so I would like to just set that aside for the moment, just to allow it to cool down. And we're going to return. We've got half an hour left. We should have enough time now to go back to I may not do all the letters, but I'll show you how all the letters work. And then we'll come back and add some bits and pieces to this. And we also need to stamp also onto our dictionary paper. Right. I'll just go straight on. So, are you keeping up, David?
No.
No. Panic, panic, panic. So these are my letters. And we're going to go and move now to the large, beautifully large cut pinecone, the top of. So you need a big stamping block for this, and you need to use archival ink for this one, or stays on. And the reason being, you're going onto wood and you're going onto the acrylic paint. If you use a VersaFine on this, it will not dry because VersaFine is oil-based and it won't dry. So you need your archival ink and your large stamp. And I'm going to do these very, very quickly to show you how to do it. Are you with me, David? Okay. So lots of light tapping. Now a large stamp, so I tend to rub my ink pad over the top and then tap into it. And then that way you get an even coverage. Now, because it is such a large stamp and because I don't want to stamp the whole, I'm going to bring this back in for you to see. Okay. If you can see here, I've just stamped in various places. So it's up to you where you choose where you would like to add a little bit of interest. Okay. So put that down to one side. And I'm going to start with my H, and I'm probably just going to do it off the edge, and I'm going to just do the, no, what am I going to do? I'm going to the bottom part, I think. So I'm going to take my letter to my stamp, and because it's firm, I can press my stamp, my letter H into my stamp and get a good impression. And take it off. Oh, she says, and I haven't because obviously mine is, I haven't got a juicy one. Have you got a juicy
Yeah.
stays on? Yes, because yours is brand new, isn't it? Not stays on, archival. Let's try that again. You do need a good ink pad for this. Thank you. I think I might have cracked it. I've given it another good welly. Press into it. That's better. Can you see there? There's just the impression. There you go, look. So I'll now do that. I'm going to just ink that up again. So it's up to you whether you do the tips of the letters, half a letter, a whole letter. It's entirely up to you. There's your ink pad back, David, before I put my, and I'm going to just do the one side, I think, of this O. So press and allow the ink, even now for this surface, allow the ink to settle into the stamp. There you go. How's that? You can see the O there, and the M, just probably take a little bit of that side. There we go. And I just need to ink it up again. Have you done all yours, David, already? Mm. Wow, he's done his already. Fantastic. Might like to take a look at what you've done there. So I'm just going to take that one and I'll take a little bit on the edges there. And then take the E. And he's doing fantastic, isn't he? I'm really, really very chuffed. He's got next Craftalongs with David himself. I'm just going to take a back seat. Okay, so there we go. Hopefully you have our letters. I'm just going to leave them there to let you see. And that's mine done like that. How's that? Okay? So it's up to you where you... Now, the one thing I will just say, I probably want my plaque a bit darker. You're quite happy with yours, David, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, all we need to do now is, I'll just give you a tip here for this and then we can move on from this one, is to lay your letters out. Put the top one in, the H in, and your E in at the bottom, like so, or the other way, depending whether you want to do it landscape or portrait, and then fit the O and the M into place. It's much easier once you've got the top and bottom one in to fit that in, like so, than it is to try and start at one end and work to the other. Because what happens is you run out of space. Wow, that's wonderful, David. And the glue that you have, just glue each letter, take it off and leave the others in place, because then you've got a guide. Don't then take these off. Leave them all in place. Start with the H, glue it into place, and then go each down with each letter, and that would be that plaque done. Okay? And now I want to go straight on to the stamping onto your dictionary paper. Okay, so dictionary paper, I used the large leaf that is in the sow the seeds. So, and also the mushroom from Mother Earth. So let's start with the large leaf. It's up to you. You don't have to. You can use whatever you wish to do. I want to also possibly have just a minute shortly, because I'll show you how to do the. It's okay. We've got plenty of time. Sorry, ignore me. I'm a director's nightmare at the moment, aren't I? Sorry. Sorry, Meg. Sorry, Chris. Right, there you go. Now you go back to using your VersaFine. I keep covering my name up. I keep pretending. I don't want to say it's me, you see. Right, so I'm stamping the large leaf. Again, decide which one you want to do it in and pop the leaf. Now you can do it central, do it straight, do whichever way you want to do, really. It's yours. Remember, with these stamps, it's your artwork. You can do it blues, you know, you can have purple trees, you can have blue leaves, you know, you can do whatever you want. It's your artwork. As I say, you have a stamp in your hand and you have art for life. There you go. Now you can't see very much at the moment because of your dictionary paper, but I have got with me the watercolour paints. I have brought my watercolour pencils, I should say, and now I've run out of space because I can't cover up my name. Are you doing all right, David? He's been very quiet, isn't he? Been good. Done it, mate. Oh, you've done your mushroom first, have you? So, taking a couple of greens, green and possibly a bit of a yellow, and what you do is, very, very quickly, there's no technique to this, circular colouring, just watch where you're going with the lines. So, whoops, I've gone out the line there, because I'm rushing now. But take more time than I'm giving you. And circular colouring just into the lines of the stamp, like so. There you go, that's there. And then I would take a yellow. Do you want some of these, David? Oh, do you want the browns?
I'll do the leaf and then I'll come back to the greens.
Okay, so now I'm taking yellows and I'm just scribbling. Can you actually see I'm just doing circular scribbles? Because it's, there we go, and then literally a little bit of a darker green along the veins. And again, as I say, you can see no skill. What I try and say to you is, with colouring, you do need to take time when it comes to shading. I do believe in taking time, but when you're colouring things like this, the more random the better. And then I now take my water brush And now can you see how the colours are now starting to blend? But like leaves are, they are variegated. And now you've still got your words coming through on your dictionary paper, but how quick is that to get that effect? I'll pass you the pencils, David.
Thank you.
How quick is that? And then all I would do is I would take the words nature, which is somewhere on here. Excuse me, nature, that's it is. Take the stamp off. This is gonna, I mean, this is looks like my craft room now, just getting smaller and smaller by the second.
No. Your craft room's getting larger and larger by the second. The house is getting smaller and smaller.
So, I'm actually using the word earth rather than nature for some unknown reason, but that's fine. And in that corner, like so, there we go. So that's mine, and if you look here, this is the one that I did before, and I did a little bit more darker shading here, which you can add on, as I say, and I did my technique around the edge of taking a grey pencil, just going around the edge to give it a bit of a shading. And then the other side is the wonderful mushroom, look at that, and that again is just using, this time I used watercolour paints for this. There's the earth, and I went round with purple because purple actually gives you a good shadow as well. And then, once you've done that, I'm going to go back to my original. Put one glass in the box. Pop your card in, just half, so far in. Put the other glass in with it. I'm trying to, is that the best route? And then drop them all in together, like so, and you get sandwiched like that. And the other side, look. Okay. So I know we haven't done that live, but I'm hoping that what I've shown you there will be enough for you to be able to finish that. Okay. And if you wanted to, as I say, you can change this around. You've got plenty of card. You've got drawing cartridge in there, which is the equivalent to hot pressed watercolour card. So if you wanted to then create a scene or whatever, then you can have that. This is an interchangeable box now. As long as you use just the one piece of card sandwiched between the glass, you can change this into whatever you want. So you could do some more scenes and have those landscape for a change. So this can be a permanent, changeable piece of artwork in your house. Oops, right way around, Lesley. There you go. And that is permanently interchangeable now with anything else you want to do. Okay, so I'm going from that. How are you doing, David? Do you need a couple of minutes or so? I'll let you have a minute or so if you want to go in with somebody else, because we're going to be doing the last bit. There's a couple of last bits I want to do. I want to show you how to put the foiling onto your plaque, and I want to show you how to do the extra on the white plaque with your letters.
Right, those are your details for your craft along. You can still buy it. You will be able to watch this show again and join in with Lesley and David. They're having a great time. We're having a great time, and I hope you're having a great time at home. We've got about 12 minutes left of the show. It's £28.95 today. That's your first payment, and then another payment in a month's time, £490,819. And of course, with the elements, you can create again and again and again. It doesn't just have to be about the crafting projects. You'll do those and then you'll have the products left to keep creating. We've got some lovely cards here. I've just been practicing in a journal, just been using the stamps in a different way. I've just been using what I've got. I didn't want to get all my craft along kit out because I want to craft along with Lesley and David when I get it home. So I've just been creating some backgrounds with some ink that I found here in the studio. I'm a little bit like a MacGyver when it comes to crafting. I just use what I've got. That's what I've been doing, but we've got some gorgeous cards here that the design team have put together. I mean, that is gorgeous. Look at the background that's been created with the mushroom stamp, but then the mushroom stamp on the front to give you that focus. Really like that. You can practice your backgrounds with these particular stamps. That's beautiful, using the foil around the edging and some of the Mother Nature stamps that are in there. And remember, if you do have your fine liner pens, you can add to the detail. And we've also got the stamp set that's going to give you that lovely mixed media effect. 490819 is your item number. Let's head back to Lesley and David. You've still got time to get your questions in if you've got any. It's studio@hochanda.com, or any pictures. I'm sure David and Lesley would love to see the pictures of you guys crafting along at home. Back to Lesley.
Okay, so back to this plaque now. I wanted to show you about the foiling part and stamping onto this. So I've got the word seeds, and I'm using a distress ink pad to match. Now this may or may not dry on here. I brought the wrong ink pad, so I'm just going to stamp this quietly there. My suggestion would be to this, okay, would be, here we go. There we go. So there we are. I have stamped seeds on it. Okay. Now what I want to say to you is, if that you find that should dry actually. If you've got a matte ink, acrylic paint, that should dry on there. Okay. If it doesn't, use a clear embossing powder and maybe something like a Versaclear, or use your distress and some clear embossing powder straight away, just to help it set. The other thing I want to show you is I'm going to use some of the glue on my, what are you looking for, David?
Just an ink pad.
An ink pad, okay. Do you want to use the turquoise one? Would be better because it goes with the turquoise in your colour.
Right.
So I'm going to put some of my glue onto my mat here. Okay, that's it. There we go. Then I'm going to take my, now some of the extras, one of them was Make Your Mark stamp. So I'm just going to take the bubbles one onto there and take a brush, preferably my glue brush, which is still in the water and shouldn't be too wet. Spread this around a bit on your mat. Okay. I'll pass mine over to you, David, if you want in a moment. Use it's like ink, putting your stamp into it. So now I've got ink on my stamp, and I'm just going to put this randomly onto my plaque, just in the odd places, here and there. Take that. And I'm going to clean that off. Should clean that off really straight away, if not with water. And a pink. A pink paintbrush, that's good, isn't it? Use a little toothbrush just to get the ink straight off your stamp, and then it'll be fine. As long as you do it straight away, that's absolutely fine. And that hopefully has been a bit tacky. This may or may not work.
Could have the glue, please.
The glue, there you go. Take your foil, and you have it gold side up or silver side up, depending which you want to use. Now this may or may not work. It depends if my glue's dry quicker. You should let it go a little bit tacky, which I haven't done, so it may not work. It's just only little bits. It should actually take more than that to do it, because I haven't let it go tacky. But you can see how you're just adding. Yeah, I need to let it go tacky, folks. I'm trying to rush everything here. But hopefully you can see. You don't want to overload it, but I'm still waiting for it to go tacky. If I can go back to my original here, this went tacky, okay? And there you can, if I can just, can you just catch it? But this is where I used that little bit extra. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that, the other way is to use your double-sided sheet and snip bits out, shapes out, attach the shape to your, it's at top and bottom here, attach your shape to your plaque, take off the top part, and then, same principle, attach the, or use the silver foil over the top, press it in, and then once you take it off, just press it in again with your fingers, and you'll get that like thumbprint effect. Okay, and that's how you get this straighter edged foil. So there's two ways of doing your foil, either with a stamp and with your glue, and as I say, make sure you take the glue off your stamp quickly, or using your double-sided tape or adhesive sheet to give you the effect. Now also in your kit you've got the clear varnish. When this is all dry, you use a very fine brush like we've been using today, something like this. Okay, and you just very, very gently paint over the top. As long as this is all set, you shouldn't, if you're worried about your seeds going off, then as I say, you would stamp it with ink and emboss over the top. And because this is all acrylic paint that you've used here, you should be able to quickly take over, and that's got a couple of coats of the gloss over it. That is the one that's flat, and it does just bring out the colours, as you can see. Right, last but not least, because I'm conscious of time, 9 minutes. Oh, that's fantastic time now. Can I just move my glue out the way, because I have a nasty feeling I'm going to stick something into that by mistake. So, for all the people who've been very patient sitting there saying, yes, but I did my plaque in white, and you've not really mentioned that at all, I want to concentrate a little bit onto it here now, just so I can explain. So, there we go, look. Right, now I've done the same technique as we did with the home words, but this time I've used the modern textures. So I've used this line stamp here from the modern textures that's in your kit, and I've kept this one in my hand, and I've just randomly placed where I wanted it to be. Now the one underneath I have used, there's an add-on extra, which is the Nature's Paisley stamp set, which is this one here at the top. And I have taken a variety of these leaves, etc. And what I've done is I've placed my letter down, I've taken a pencil, and I've just drawn in the corner there where I want it to line up. So I did the same principle as we did with the home, and I line up all the letters first. Then I take a small pencil and just do in the crook of that letter, around the edge of that letter, in the crook of the V, and in the crook of one of the E's, and that will tell you, you know, where the letter's placed. Then I take the stamp and I stamp it. Let's see if I can take this line here. Bearing in mind, I want some of that to show. I've used my little L shape there that I've drawn with my pencil to give me the key to where I'm going to place my stamp. And I know if I stamp in that area, that when I put my letter back on top, you're going to be able to see it, and the same with each one. So having that pencil, and once you put your letter back in place, you will never see that pencil mark. So that's how you create the stamping underneath. If you want it to show, say, just put a pencil mark and then place your stamps accordingly. And then what I've done is I've rubbed the edge of my stamp with a little bit of a sanding block, sorry, the edge of my letters with a little bit of sanding block, just to make them look a little bit more shabby chic. And I did the same here on my home one, and I've just rubbed again. See how as if it's almost a little bit worn? Just to rub it off, just to give you that little not so new look. And that's how I would finish off the letters. So we have got, let's go back to quick recap myself before we pass over. How many times, how much have I got left here? Oh, I've got plenty of minutes time to talk about this then. Okay, so can we do a recap? I know, oh, you've got yours to work. Have you got your silver to work, David?
A little bit.
Camera 2, David. He's done very well, hasn't he? He's done beautifully. The other thing I did on this one was, while I still had my paint, I'll leave them down here. While I still had my paint, I did a few speckles. They're probably a bit too, it's probably a bit too pale to see. But maybe, can I? Yep, okay. So I did a bit of speckle with the colour that I'd already painted with. Okay. And then back to my, it's somewhere, where's my, I've put it to one side. There it is. Okay. So hopefully, it's all been a little bit rushed. I was probably, I know, a bit ambitious doing all this together, but you have all that lovely, lovely product in your kit to go away and do this and finish what you have. Do you want to bring all of yours together that you've got done as well, Dave? He's got part of his photo frame done. He's certainly done his wonderful leaf. And I'm going back to the ones that were finished. Okay, so there we go. The love one is lovely. I really like that. Again, it just shows you, I think it's the colours that you used to. And if you're not happy with the colours you've chosen, do you know what? Just go over the top and paint again. Love, you can turn all the letters over, except for, well, even the E. You could turn them over and do them the other side. What you will find on the other side of your letters is that they're slightly marked because that's the reverse. That's where the laser has caught them underneath, but there's no reason why you shouldn't use that to your advantage if you do make it a mistake. The L is the only one you couldn't turn over. Just in case you're thinking of. The E you could, because you could reverse the E upside down. I think all I wanted to say is thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for everybody who's purchased the kit. I hope you've had a good time. I feel as if I've always rushed you a little bit. I've out of practice of doing these craft-alongs. November was the last one I did. Thanks to David for joining me. Have you enjoyed it?
It was fun, different.
Bit too pressurised. I think possibly it was very rushed today, and I do apologise, but hopefully on catch-up you'll be able to finish off, and please post your finished projects because we would love to see what you get up to. And that includes you too, Janice, because hopefully when you do yours, we'd like to see what you do too.
Well, I think I've just been inspired by David and his sample of love, although that sounds very wrong. Moving swiftly on, but I have been inspired by that because I did like the colours. But please do share your pictures. I'm sure Lesley would love to see them, and we'd love to see them as well. We'd like to see what you're up to, and even post your pictures after you've finished today. It's been an absolute joy to have David and Lesley here in the studio, and it's been a joy to have you guys here as well. You can still purchase your craft-alongs if you like what you see and you want to craft along with David and Lesley. You can do, because the show will be available on Rewind. You head to our website, or it's available on the app, so when you get your kit home you can craft along. Now, in order to do that, your item number's there at the side of your screen. It's 490819. Give us a call or go to the Hochanda website and pop this into your basket and then check out whilst we've still got them. 2 payments of £28.95. We say 2 payments, we'll divide the cost over 2 months, but we'll send everything out together. You've got your stamps in there, which of course you can use beyond your craft along projects, and they are fantastic. You've also got your project plaques, and you've got your frames. So you've got your 2 plaques right there, and then you've got your frame in the middle that you can pop your artwork into. You've got your Pva glue with your mediums. You've also got your masking tissue, your walnut stain. You've got your embossing powder. You've got your Versamark ink pad, clear ink pad, and then you've also got your glossy white varnish. You've got your letters, and yes, they are reversible, of course, because you can turn the E upside down if you want to. So L-O-V-E. Then you've got your book pages as well that you can stamp onto with your foils. Oh my word, there's so much in this kit. It's great value for money. You've got your MDF home, and then you've got your cling mount. You've also got your card and your cartridge paper. You've got in there also your A4 cling as well, and those are for your stamps. So it's easy to cut into the rubber. I've already been preparing mine. Lesley?
Can I just say something?
Yes, of course you can.
The value of the stamps, if you were to buy those stamps, the value of them is almost £48.
I can imagine. They're beautiful stamps.
So for literally less than £10, you're getting everything else.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And those stamps you'll use again and again and again and again for so many different projects.
Work, and the work behind me as well. Thank you to the girls who did help out doing this. It was so good of them under times where things have been difficult, you know.
Yeah, of course.
We really appreciate it. And thank you, Janice. It's not been the most exciting. I wish you could have crafted along with us.
I know, but of course, because of the current situation, but I have been crafting
Good.
over on my pad in my journal. So I've just been crafting along, doing my thing, which is great. Because I didn't want to open the kit fully, because I want to take my time and relax at home.
We want to see, please let us see what you do. We'd love to see it.
Most definitely, most definitely. And thank you, Lesley, and thank you, David. And when are we going to see you next?
We have a one-day special next month.
Oh, very excited about that. Right, thank you for joining us. Thank you for Lesley, thank you, David. Thank you for the whole team for putting this together, and that includes you guys at home. But there is more to come here on Hochanda. And remember, we're now live all the way through until 10 at night on your Freeview channels.